Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRIENDS and Washington, Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news all right. Folks, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you could be a real game changer for the Washington Commanders and the entire NFC East. Rumors are swirling around a potential blockbuster trade that might shake up the entire defensive landscape of the league, especially for the Commanders who are always looking to elevate their roster and challenge for a deep playoff run. And this time, it involves none other than T.J. Watt, one of the most feared pass rushers in the league, currently with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Can the Steelers really consider trading Watt? Well, the whispers are growing louder, and the logic behind it is actually pretty compelling. Sources indicate that the Steelers, sitting at a 7-9 record and in the midst of a rebuild after a turbulent 2025 season, are exploring options to reshape their defense and cap space. With their current roster, especially with a focus on rebuilding the offensive line and developing younger players, they see Watt as a valuable asset that could bring in significant draft capital. The speculation is that Pittsburgh might be willing to part ways with Watt in exchange for a first-round pick in the 2026 draft and a third-rounder in 2027, which could give them some much-needed flexibility and young talent to develop. In return, the Commanders would not only acquire one of the league's most disruptive edge rushers, but also free up about $18 million in cap space, allowing them to invest further in their roster, particularly on the defensive line and elsewhere. Now, let's talk about T.J. Watt himself. This guy is a nightmare for quarterbacks. Since entering the league, Watt has accumulated an astonishing 112 sacks, 512 tackles, and 32 forced fumbles across 124 games, making him one of the most consistent and game-changing pass rushers of this era. His PFF grade of 93, 4 over his career, speaks volumes about his elite talent. In 2025 alone, Watt tallied 18 sacks, along with 28 tackles for loss, 42 QB hits, and a 29% pressure rate. His win rate of 32% and EPA per snap of -0. 48 demonstrate how impactful he is on every play, and he's been remarkably healthy, avoiding major injuries, which makes him even more valuable. Watt's 2023 stats, with 17.5 sacks, already exceeded expectations, and he's often compared to legendary players like Reggie White in his prime, a true disruptor who elevates the entire defense. What makes this move so enticing for Washington? Well, adding Watt to an already talented defense could elevate them to a whole new level. You've got Jonathan Allen anchoring the interior, and now, with Watt rushing from the outside, the Commanders could generate upwards of 22 total sacks, which would be a significant boost from their current numbers. This kind of pressure on opposing quarterbacks would not only increase their sack totals, but also create more turnovers, disrupt rhythm, and take the pressure off the secondary, which has been solid, but could use that extra push to become a top 10 unit. A defense like that, aggressive and relentless, could be the missing piece that turns the Commanders from a decent team into a legitimate playoff contender with Super Bowl aspirations. Now, let's consider the impact on the NFC East. The Eagles, who had a fantastic 2023 season with their own pass rush anchored by Reddick, are already a nightmare for offenses. But if Washington manages to land Watt, it shifts the balance of power significantly. The Eagles' defense, which was already top-notch, would face an even more formidable challenge, and the Commanders' pass rush would rival the best in the league. This addition could push Washington's win probability in playoff scenarios up by 12%, especially against mobile quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts. Watt's ability to pressure and contain quarterbacks who thrive on scrambling, which has been a weakness for some defenses, would make a huge difference in close games and playoff battles. But it's not just about immediate impact. This trade signals a clear intent from the Commanders to become serious contenders and to build a defense that can compete at the highest level for years to come. The NFL has seen how a dominant pass rush can transform a team. Think about the Bears. Khalil Mack trade in 2025. which instantly boosted their defense by adding plus 180 yards in production. Watt's presence would elevate the Commanders' pressure rate from around 22% to nearly 38%, creating mismatches against offensive tackles and forcing teams to double-team him, freeing up others to make plays. It would also significantly reduce rushing yards allowed, an 18% drop, which would make opponents think twice about running the ball against Washington. This kind of disruption is exactly what fans have been waiting for, and it could propel the Commanders into the top 7 defenses in the league, similar to their 2022 season. Now, what about the draft capital? Well, this move would give the Commanders a huge boost, especially in the upcoming drafts. Moving for Watt would likely cost a first-round pick in 2026, but the return of that pick could be used to target other young, talented players or to fill other needs on the roster. Plus, acquiring Watt could be the push needed to attract free agents and solidify the team's identity as a defensive powerhouse. And let's not forget, with Watt on the team, the odds of Washington making a deep playoff push, possibly even contending for a Super Bowl, increased dramatically. Currently, their odds of winning Super Bowl LXI are around plus 3,000, but with Watt, those odds could drop to plus 1,500, a 50% boost, similar to what the Eagles experienced after Riddick's breakout in 2023. It's a game changer, plain and simple. Of course, there are skeptics. Some question whether the Steelers are truly willing to part with Watt, especially considering his importance to their defense. But given their current rebuild status, and the fact that they're prioritizing cap space and draft picks, this trade becomes more plausible. The Steelers are aiming to develop their younger players, such as Keanu Benton, and they need cap flexibility to extend their core pieces and build for the future. Moving Watt, despite his elite talent, could be seen as a strategic move to accelerate their rebuild and gather draft capital. Meanwhile, for the Commanders, this is a chance to accelerate their ascent, to finally get that elite pass rusher that can turn games around and make a real impact in the playoffs. So, what does this all mean for the future of Washington? If they pull off this trade, they're not just adding a player, they're making a statement. They're saying they're ready to compete at the highest level and believe that Watt can be the missing piece to their Super Bowl puzzle. Fans have been waiting for a move like this, a bold statement that Washington is back on the map. The NFC East is already competitive, with the Eagles and Cowboys always in the mix, but adding a player of Watt's caliber could tilt the scales significantly in favor of Washington. It's a move that would energize the fan base, boost team confidence, and send a clear message to the league. The Commanders are here to contend. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think the team should go all in on a trade for TJ Watt? Would you give up a first-round pick in 2026 to bring him in and take the defense to a new level? Or do you think Pittsburgh might hold on to their superstar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news. This could be the start of something special, a new era of dominance for the Commanders, and Watt might just be the spark they need to light that fire.